What we're seeing is weakening demand in China colliding with oversupply in metals to other commodities markets. That's something that can't be fixed without a swift reduction in supply, and that could take some time to filter through. So there's a bit of a debate about whether this pain will last for the short term or whether we're in for a bit more of a long-term painful scenario.
Is Glencore going to go bust, right? That's it. Is the equity worth anything at all, right? And then we get into essentially a self-fulfilling debate around, well, if the debt isn't worth anything, why should the equity be worth something? People look at the CDSs, people sort of question whether or not it'll be able to refinance its debt over the short term. And of course, that all becomes just a deeply circular argument, right, where you say, well, if the thing is worth nothing, how much is the equity worth? When you go, well, of course it's worth nothing under that circumstance. Yeah. But that's not answering the question. That's simply begging the question.
The thing that we've called wrong is the rate of slowdown of the Chinese economy, where if you go back a year ago, most people thought it was going to grow at 7% per annum. It's clearly not growing at 7% per annum. And the biggest impact of that was on commodities, and that's been very evident for a long period of time. So we've been waiting for commodities to get hit, and they've been hit very hard right now, largely because of the Chinese effect and the spillover and the contagion that exists, not just in the physical markets, but increasingly in the derivative markets which surround all of these equity and debt instruments in all of these firms.
What the market was reflecting, I think, at the moment is not even the spot commodity, price deck. It's essentially discounting a perpetual continuation of suppressed margin generation from Glencore and essentially zero value in the trading business. Now, both of those both of those features are for me unrealistic. I mean, we had a number of notes coming out over recent days in the absence of any news from the company, but just essentially stoking the fear around the stock.
He lost more than a quarter of his wealth in one day. And so, but that's really an exclamation point on what's been a very bad year. As you mentioned, he's lost 74% of his fortune. And if you consider only last July, he was the 190th richest person in the world. He's worth $7.3 billion. Wow. Today, he's worth 1.4. Pretty steep drop. When Glencore went public, it was like a factory for billionaires. It made at least 5 of its executives billionaires. And of course, many other traders and investors became multimillionaires as well. So, they're in a really bad way lately. They're very nervous, and I can guarantee you they're not going to be dropping in at those stores anytime soon.